What if I told you that the one thing most men over 60 feel guilty about might actually be keeping them alive? For decades, you've been warned that ejaculating too often could weaken your body, drain your strength, or damage your prostate. But what if that belief is completely backward? What if releasing every day, yes, every single day, could actually sharpen your mind, balance your hormones, and even protect your prostate from disease? It sounds shocking, but the science behind it may surprise you even more. I'm Dr. James, a board-certified urologist and men's health specialist with over 30 years of experience helping men regain their confidence, energy, and vitality without shame or confusion. I've treated thousands of men in their 60s, 70s, and beyond, and I can tell you this, the truth about ejaculation is not what you were taught when you were young. Some men who release daily report feeling stronger, calmer, and more focused. Others notice fatigue, lowered desire, or restlessness. So, which one is true? How can the same act heal one man and harm another? That's exactly what we're going to uncover together. In the next few minutes, you'll learn the 5 proven benefits of ejaculating every day, the 5 potential risks that few doctors talk about, and how to find the balance that keeps your body thriving even after 60. And stay with me until the end, because I'll reveal one hidden warning sign that tells you your body's had enough. It's subtle, but ignoring it could quietly drain your vitality without you even noticing. Before we get started, make sure you've subscribed and turned on the notification bell. That way you won't miss any of my weekly videos on men's health, vitality, and confidence after 60. And if this topic speaks to you, type 1 in the comments. If it doesn't, type 0. Your feedback helps me create content that truly serves you. Now that we've set the stage, let's talk about what really happens inside your body. When you release daily, powerful chemical reactions unfold in your brain and bloodstream, releasing a cascade of hormones that can transform how you feel, think, and even age. Let's begin with the first surprising benefit. 1. It calms your mind and balances your mood. When a man ejaculates, something remarkable happens inside his brain, a quiet storm of chemistry that resets his entire nervous system. It's not just a release, it's a recalibration. The moment you climax, your brain releases a natural cocktail of dopamine, oxytocin, endorphins, and serotonin. 4 chemicals that, when balanced, create peace, clarity, and emotional stability. Dopamine gives you that spark of motivation, that feeling of, I'm alive. Oxytocin softens tension, deepens trust, and reminds your body that it's safe. Endorphins silence pain and quiet the background noise of worry. And serotonin, perhaps the most underestimated of them all, steadies your mood so the storms of daily life don't shake you so easily. For men over 60, this balance matters more than ever. Your body has weathered decades of stress, loss, responsibility, and noise. Those pressures leave invisible scars on your nervous system. You might not feel them, but they build up like sediment in a riverbed. Tight shoulders, shallow sleep, low patience, or moments of sadness you can't quite explain. That's why this release, when done consciously, can feel like exhaling after years of holding your breath. It's your body's way of saying you can let go now. I've seen countless patients over the years, retired engineers, teachers, veterans, who walked into my office burdened by guilt or confusion over their habits. They'd whisper, "Doctor, am I doing something wrong?" And I would tell them gently but firmly, if it helps you feel calmer, sleep better, and connect deeper with yourself, it's not wrong. It's human. When your body releases that tension, your heart rate slows, your breathing deepens, and your thoughts stop racing. It's not just physical relief, it's emotional housekeeping. You make room for calm to enter again. But let's be honest, this isn't a magic pill. If you depend on that moment for every ounce of peace, the balance can shift. The goal isn't to chase the high, but to understand what it's teaching you. That pleasure and relaxation are parts of your health, not enemies of it. When handled with mindfulness, daily ejaculation becomes a form of quiet therapy. It reminds your brain that joy isn't something to fear, and calm isn't something to apologize for. Still, this is only one piece of the puzzle, because when your body finds emotional calm, another transformation begins. One that affects your nights, your sleep, and how deeply your body restores itself. And that's where the second benefit truly surprises most men. 2. It improves sleep and restorative recovery. There's a quiet moment that follows climax, a soft stillness where your body seems to sink into itself, your breathing slows, and the world outside fades away. That's not just fatigue or relaxation, it's biology. During ejaculation, your body releases a surge of a hormone called prolactin, the same one that signals your brain it's time to rest. Prolactin works alongside oxytocin and endorphins, forming a natural sedative that gently lowers stress hormones and quiets the chatter in your mind. For many men over 60 who often lie awake with racing thoughts or restless legs, that combination can mean the difference between tossing for hours and finally drifting into deep healing sleep. Sleep, as I tell every patient, is when your body repairs itself. It's when your cells restore energy, your blood pressure resets, and your brain organizes memories. Without it, your hormones fall out of balance, your mood dips, and your vitality fades. I've met men who tried every sleep aid available, pills, teas, breathing apps, but nothing helped until they allowed themselves to reconnect with their body in this natural way. They'd smile the next morning and say, "Doctor, I haven't slept like that in years." And I'd remind them, it wasn't the act itself that healed them, it was what it released. Tension, anxiety, and all the clutter that stands between your body and true rest. Now, that doesn't mean you should rely on it like a sleeping pill. The real benefit comes when you approach it mindfully, when you let the process slow you down rather than rush through it. After 60, your body needs rhythm, not stimulation. You need softness, not urgency. Allowing yourself that time, that moment of surrender, signals your nervous system to unwind. It's your biology's built-in mechanism to restore calm after decades of stress and sleepless nights. I remember one patient in his late 60s who told me he'd forgotten what real rest felt like. He'd been working nights for years, his sleep broken, his mind always on alert. But when he learned to embrace relaxation through mindful release, his entire rhythm changed. His blood pressure improved, his energy stabilized, and he looked younger, calmer, more centered. That's the kind of healing we often overlook, the kind that doesn't come from a prescription bottle but from understanding how your body wants to rest. And yet, the story doesn't stop with better sleep, because the next effect of daily ejaculation isn't just internal, it's physical, visible, and vital. It involves something that every man, no matter his age, depends on for health and longevity. It's about circulation, and it's far more powerful than most realize. 3. It boosts blood flow and circulation. Every time a man becomes aroused, his body transforms in ways that go far beyond the surface. Your heart begins to beat stronger, your breathing deepens, and blood surges through vessels that may have sat quiet for much of the day. In that moment, your entire circulatory system comes alive. This isn't just about pleasure, it's about movement, oxygen-rich blood rushing through arteries, nourishing the heart, the brain, and every muscle fiber. When you ejaculate, it's like performing a short, targeted workout for your vascular system. The vessels expand, the heart pumps efficiently, and new capillaries receive flow that helps keep tissues healthy. For a man over 60, that stimulation matters more than you might imagine. It can mean the difference between stiffness and vitality, between fatigue and sharpness. I've seen this play out in my clinic many times. A patient once told me, "Doctor, I used to think erections were just about desire, but I realized they're also about circulation." He was absolutely right. Erections are a mirror of cardiovascular health. When blood flow is strong and arteries are flexible, erections come naturally. But when circulation weakens due to stress, diet, or aging, the body's early warning signs often appear in the bedroom first. That's why paying attention to your sexual health is also paying attention to your heart. Ejaculation promotes vasodilation, a fancy word for widening your blood vessels. This improved flow delivers oxygen to your cells and clears waste that builds up when circulation is sluggish. It's not a substitute for physical exercise, but it complements it beautifully. Many of my older patients who maintain an active sex life, whether alone or with a partner, tend to have healthier blood pressure, stronger heart rhythm, and even warmer skin tone. Their bodies stay responsive instead of rigid, their confidence steady instead of anxious. It's also deeply psychological. When blood flows freely, it's not just your body that feels more alive, it's your sense of masculinity. You stand taller, your voice steadies, your eyes brighten. These are quiet signs that your body and mind are aligned, and that alignment creates a feedback loop. Confidence improves circulation. Circulation fuels confidence. It's one of nature's most elegant systems, and when understood, it becomes a source of strength rather than shame. Still, blood flow is only part of the story. Deep inside your body sits an organ that defines male health and longevity more than any other: the prostate. What most men don't realize is that daily ejaculation plays a surprising role in keeping that tiny gland clean, balanced, and free from trouble. And that's where things start to get truly interesting. 4. It may lower prostate cancer risk. Deep within your body lies one of the most misunderstood organs in men's health, the prostate. It's small, about the size of a walnut, yet it holds enormous importance. For many men over 60, it becomes a source of worry, discomfort, or even fear. But here's what most people never tell you. One of the most natural, simple actions you can take may actually help protect it. Regular ejaculation, including daily release, can support your prostate's function and may even reduce your long-term risk of cancer. Years ago, researchers from Harvard followed more than 30,000 men for nearly 2 decades. Their finding was groundbreaking. Men who ejaculated 21 times or more per month had a significantly lower risk of developing prostate cancer compared to those who did so less often. The explanation was surprisingly logical. Think of the prostate as a small factory that stores and processes seminal fluid. Over time, if that fluid sits stagnant, old cells and inflammatory compounds can build up. When you release regularly, you help flush out that system, removing waste, renewing tissue, and maintaining healthy circulation inside the gland. It's not magic, it's maintenance. In my years of practice, I've seen patients whose fear of touching themselves was stronger than their fear of disease. They'd say, "Doctor, I thought that was something men my age should stop doing." And I'd look them in the eye and say, "No, that's something men your age should start understanding." The goal isn't to chase pleasure, it's to keep the body's natural cleansing process working as it was designed. A healthy prostate depends on movement, not stagnation. Just as the heart needs a beat, the prostate needs rhythm. There's also a psychological freedom that comes with this understanding. Knowing that your body can protect itself through natural function changes how you relate to it. It replaces shame with respect, fear with confidence. And that confidence itself improves hormonal balance, reducing chronic stress, the very thing that often fuels inflammation in the first place. Now let me be clear, ejaculation alone doesn't prevent cancer. It's one tool in a larger picture, alongside good nutrition, regular checkups, and maintaining healthy testosterone levels. But it's an empowering reminder that your body's design is intelligent, not shameful. Every release, when done with awareness, supports not just your prostate, but your peace of mind. And while this internal protection is vital, your immune system, the body's invisible shield, plays an equally powerful role in keeping you strong, youthful, and resilient. What daily ejaculation does for your immunity might just surprise you even more. 5. It strengthens immunity and longevity. Few men realize how closely sexual health connects to the immune system. Most people think of immunity as white blood cells, vitamins, or vaccines, but there's another layer to it, one that's deeply biological and surprisingly intimate. When a man ejaculates, his body triggers a wave of physiological reactions that do far more than create pleasure. Research shows that during sexual arousal and orgasm, levels of immunoglobulin A, known as IgA, increase significantly. This is one of your body's first lines of defense, guarding the respiratory and digestive tracts against viruses and bacteria. In simple terms, your body's natural act of pleasure also strengthens your internal shield. I remember a patient in his early 70s, a retired firefighter, who once told me he rarely got sick anymore since he became more consistent and mindful about his sexual health. He said it with a kind of disbelief, as if his body had quietly discovered a secret. But it wasn't luck, it was biology. Lower stress hormones, improved sleep, balanced testosterone, and regular circulation all work together to keep inflammation low and immunity strong. These aren't just numbers on a chart, they're the foundation of how well you age, how fast you heal, and how vibrant you feel each morning. When you release, your brain shifts from tension to recovery. Cortisol, the stress hormone that suppresses immune function, begins to drop. Endorphins flood your system, reducing inflammation and creating an internal environment where your body can repair itself efficiently. Over time, that means fewer colds, faster recovery, and more energy to enjoy life. For older men, especially those managing chronic conditions, this can be a subtle yet powerful form of preventive care. What I've always found fascinating is how emotional well-being and immunity are so deeply connected. When a man feels isolated, ashamed, or cut off from his sense of vitality, his immune system reflects that. But when he feels relaxed, confident, and connected to his body, his defenses naturally rise. That's not just poetic, it's measurable. It's the body's way of rewarding balance. So when you think of daily ejaculation, don't think of it as indulgence. Think of it as part of your body's rhythm, a conversation between your mind, hormones, and immune cells. Each time it's a message saying, I'm alive, I'm responsive, I'm healing. But as with everything in life, balance is key. Because while the benefits are real, there's another side to the story, one that reveals what happens when daily release shifts from healthy rhythm to hidden habit. And that's where things begin to take a different turn. 6. When it becomes a compulsion. There's a quiet line between something you choose and something that begins to control you. Most men don't notice when they've crossed it. What starts as a moment of release, a way to unwind or sleep better, can slowly turn into a reflex. A habit that happens not because you want it, but because your mind demands it. I've seen it many times in my practice. A man will sit across from me and say, "Doctor, I don't even know why I do it anymore. It's like my body takes over." That's not weakness, it's wiring. The human brain is designed to seek pleasure and escape discomfort. But when the reward system gets overstimulated, especially through quick and frequent ejaculation, it starts chasing the feeling, not the meaning. Inside the brain, dopamine, the chemical that gives us motivation and excitement, can become unbalanced. The more often it's triggered without emotional connection or mindfulness, the less impact it has. You end up needing more stimulation just to feel the same level of satisfaction. Over time, what once felt like relief starts to feel like routine. And routine, without awareness, becomes compulsion. For men over 60 who may already be dealing with loneliness, stress, or isolation, this pattern can sneak in quietly. It's not about lust. It's about trying to fill a silence that feels too heavy. When you notice yourself feeling restless, guilty, or drained afterward, your body is trying to speak to you. It's saying, "This isn't pleasure anymore, this is escape." I often tell my patients that the goal isn't to stop completely, but to slow down, to rebuild intention. When you approach release consciously, you reclaim control. You remember that sexuality isn't supposed to numb you, it's supposed to nourish you. That's the difference between compulsion and connection. There's also something powerful that happens when you take a short break, a few days, even a week. Your mind clears, your energy returns. You begin to feel desire again, not because you're chasing it, but because you've given your brain a chance to reset. You start to recognize the difference between what feels natural and what feels necessary. That awareness alone restores strength. I've always believed that a man's greatest power lies not in his ability to perform, but in his ability to choose. When you can decide rather than react, you're no longer controlled by biology. You're guided by understanding. And once that understanding grows, another truth begins to reveal itself. Sometimes the act of release isn't about the body at all. It's about the emotions hiding underneath. And that's where the next lesson becomes deeply personal. 7. When it replaces emotional connection. There's a difference between release and relief, though most men never pause long enough to notice it. Release is physical. It's what your body does. Relief, on the other hand, is emotional. It's what your soul craves. When ejaculation becomes the only way you find calm or comfort, it begins to take the place of something far deeper: connection. I've spoken with many men over the years who admitted that self-pleasure became their substitute for touch, for closeness, for the warmth of another person's presence. Not because they wanted it that way, but because it was easier than facing loneliness, rejection, or the ache of missing intimacy. As men age, the world tends to grow quieter. Children leave home, friends move away, and sometimes partners drift apart emotionally or physically. That silence can feel heavy. The body still remembers desire, but the opportunities for connection change. And so many men turn inward, not because they're addicted, but because they're longing for something they no longer know how to ask for. I understand that pain. I've seen it in the eyes of proud, gentle men who've lived honorable lives but now feel disconnected from touch, from love, from themselves. Ejaculation in those moments can feel like the only bridge back to feeling alive. But the truth is, when we use it to fill emotional emptiness, it rarely satisfies for long. It's like drinking water from a leaky cup. No matter how much you pour in, it never stays. The real hunger isn't for release, it's for connection, conversation, belonging. And until that need is seen, the habit can quietly deepen, leaving men feeling emptier each time. What I tell my patients is this: sexuality was never meant to isolate you. It was meant to connect you. Whether with a partner or simply with your own heart, it's supposed to bring warmth, not distance. If you notice that your desire feels lonely or that you turn to it when sadness creeps in, that's your body's message. It's asking for something real. Reaching out, rebuilding touch, even simple companionship can restore balance in ways no amount of release ever could. There's nothing weak about wanting connection. In fact, it's one of the most human things about you. When you start honoring that need, you transform how you experience pleasure. It becomes shared, meaningful, alive again. But connection isn't the only reason to reflect on your habits. There's also a biological factor that many men overlook, especially those who still hope to conceive later in life. Because when it comes to fertility and sperm health, frequency suddenly matters more than most realize. 8. When you're trying to conceive. It's a question I still get from men in their 60s and even 70s. Men who found new love later in life, men who still want to build a family, or simply men who want to know if their bodies are still capable of creation. The truth is, yes, fertility doesn't vanish at a certain age, but it does change. And one of the simplest, most overlooked factors that affects it is frequency. When ejaculation happens every single day, the body doesn't have enough time to replenish sperm. Each release slightly reduces sperm count and concentration, and it takes roughly 48 to 72 hours for healthy production to recover. That doesn't mean you need to stop completely, it means you need rhythm. Your body is a cycle, not a machine. Every few days of rest allow the testicles to rebuild both the quantity and quality of sperm. When a man releases too often, the fluid may look the same, but its vitality, its ability to fertilize, is quietly weakened. I remember a patient in his late 60s who came to me frustrated after months of trying to conceive with his younger wife. He was healthy, active, confident. What he didn't realize was that his daily routine, which he thought kept him young and functional, was actually lowering his chances. When he began spacing out ejaculations every 2 or 3 days, his lab results improved within weeks. He and his wife eventually conceived. His body hadn't failed him, it just needed time. For older men, this can be a comforting revelation. You don't have to choose between desire and fertility, you simply have to understand how to work with your biology instead of against it. If your goal is to conceive, moderation becomes your ally. Think of it as training for endurance instead of sprinting. When your body has time to rebuild, the sperm produced are stronger, more mobile, and more resilient. But there's another layer to this that most people overlook. Beyond conception, your hormonal balance also benefits from that rest period. Testosterone levels often rise when ejaculation is spaced out slightly, helping you feel more energized and focused. It's not about withholding pleasure, it's about finding your body's natural pace where pleasure and purpose align. So whether or not you're trying to have children, remember this: your body's wisdom lies in its rhythm. Learn to listen to it and it will reward you with strength and balance. And speaking of rhythm, there's another effect of overdoing it that often catches men off guard. Not in the lab, but in how they actually feel desire itself. Because when pleasure becomes too predictable, something unexpected begins to fade. 9. When desire and sensitivity begin to fade. One of the most common things I hear from men in their 60s and 70s is this quiet confession. "Doctor, I can still perform, but it doesn't feel the same anymore." There's no shame in that admission. It's honest and it's deeply human. What's happening isn't just about age, it's about overstimulation. When ejaculation happens too often, especially through quick, repetitive habits, your brain's reward system begins to dull. The dopamine response, the spark that once made you feel alive, starts to flatten. What used to feel exciting now feels mechanical. You're still doing it, but your body's not lighting up the way it once did. In the early years, sexual arousal is spontaneous. It comes with energy, curiosity, and emotion. But as men get older, if the pattern becomes too repetitive, rushed, unmindful, disconnected, the brain adapts. It learns speed instead of sensation. Over time, the receptors that once fired intensely start to quiet down. You might find yourself needing more visual stimulation, more fantasy, or stronger touch just to feel the same level of excitement. It's not that your body is broken, it's that your brain has become desensitized from overuse of one pathway. I've had men tell me they began to feel numb, not just physically, but emotionally. They missed the depth, the slow build, the tenderness, the thrill of anticipation. That's because true pleasure isn't only chemical, it's also emotional. It needs contrast, pauses, space to breathe. When everything becomes routine, your senses stop paying attention. The beauty of aging, though, is that your body can still relearn. By slowing down, by taking short breaks, and by focusing on sensation rather than speed, sensitivity returns. Desire becomes richer again, not because of novelty, but because of presence. One of my patients, a 68-year-old man who had struggled with low desire for years, once told me after practicing this, "Doctor, it's like the lights came back on." He wasn't exaggerating. His confidence returned, his connection with his partner deepened, and his energy soared. Sometimes the solution isn't more, it's less, done with intention. So if you've noticed that spark fading, take it as a signal, not a sentence. Your body is asking for rhythm, not repetition. It's reminding you that pleasure, like music, needs silence between the notes. And when you start honoring that, something remarkable happens, not just in your desire, but in your performance. Because the next effect of overdoing it doesn't just touch your mind or mood, it can physically change how your body performs when it truly matters. 10. When it affects performance and confidence. One of the most overlooked effects of daily ejaculation, especially when it's rushed or repetitive, is how it subtly retrains your body. Every time you climax quickly, your nervous system records that pattern. It learns that stimulation should lead to release in seconds rather than minutes. Over time, that training becomes automatic. So when you're finally with a partner, your body follows the same rhythm it's been taught: fast, tense, and impatient. Many men are shocked to realize that premature ejaculation, or even loss of firmness, often has little to do with aging and everything to do with habit. I've had countless men, some in their 60s, others in their 70s, walk into my office frustrated and ashamed. They say, "Doctor, I can get aroused, but I can't last." When I ask about their patterns, almost all describe the same thing: quick mechanical release without mindfulness. And the good news is, once they begin to retrain their body, everything changes. Ejaculation is not a one-way path, it's a reflex you can reshape through awareness and patience. Techniques like edging, slowing down, breathing through arousal, allowing the wave to build and settle, can recondition the brain to value control over completion. When you shift from chasing release to cultivating sensation, you give your nervous system space to relearn endurance. Your muscles respond differently. Your breathing becomes steadier. You start to notice your partner again, not as an endpoint, but as part of the experience. And that shift does something profound for your confidence. Because confidence in the bedroom doesn't come from being flawless. It comes from being present, from knowing you're in control of your body rather than ruled by it. One of my patients, a soft-spoken man of 69, once told me, "Doctor, I thought I was losing my masculinity." But I wasn't. It was just buried under bad habits. After practicing mindful techniques, his stamina returned, his anxiety vanished, and his relationship became more passionate than it had been in decades. It wasn't youth he regained, it was awareness. That's the deeper truth about all of this. Ejaculation isn't the enemy. It's a tool, a reflection of how you relate to your own body. When used consciously, it can build health, peace, and connection. When done carelessly, it can drain you slowly without you realizing. And that brings us to the final takeaway, the truth that ties all of this together. Because whether you release once a week or once a day, what truly matters isn't the number, it's the reason. And when you understand that reason, you gain something far more powerful than pleasure. You gain mastery over your energy, your vitality, and your life itself. Conclusion: finding balance, strength, and self-awareness. After decades of listening to men, fathers, veterans, husbands, and friends, I've learned that the question, "Is it healthy to ejaculate every day?" is really about something much deeper. It's not just about the act itself. It's about understanding how your body, your mind, and your emotions change over time and learning how to stay connected to yourself through those changes. The truth is, ejaculation can be both healing and harmful. It can be medicine or distraction, strength or escape. It all depends on why, how, and what it means to you. When done mindfully, daily release can calm your mind, lower stress, and bring peaceful sleep. It can keep your blood flowing, protect your prostate, and even boost your immune system. It can remind you that you're still alive, still capable of feeling, still human. Those moments of release can become quiet acts of renewal, like taking a deep breath after a long, difficult day. But if it turns into a habit driven by compulsion or loneliness, it begins to take rather than give. It can dull your senses, drain your energy, and slowly disconnect you from the world around you. I've seen both sides firsthand. I've watched men reclaim their confidence by understanding their rhythm, and I've seen others lose touch with themselves by mistaking routine for relief. The difference always comes down to awareness. When you act consciously, you're in control. When you act unconsciously, you surrender that control to habit. Your body isn't asking for perfection, it's asking for balance. Some days that means release. Other days, it means rest. What matters is that you listen. And let me be clear, aging doesn't mean decline, it means refinement. Your body may change, but it still speaks to you in whispers of sensation, fatigue, and pleasure. When you honor those signals instead of fighting them, you find a rhythm that keeps you strong and grounded. You discover that your masculinity isn't measured by frequency, but by presence, by how connected you are to your own vitality. So, the real answer to the question isn't yes or no, it's awareness. Ejaculating every day can be perfectly healthy if it nourishes you, restores you, and keeps your body in harmony. But if it leaves you tired, distracted, or empty, it's time to pause and recalibrate. You have the power to decide what balance looks like for you. Because in the end, this isn't just about sex, it's about life. It's about energy, confidence, and freedom. It's about understanding that every choice you make with your body can either drain your light or make it shine brighter. And that awareness, that quiet mastery, is what true vitality after 60 is all about.